Hey, David, how's it going? What day of the week is it?
When
did you get to bed, bed hair?
You know what I was saying the other day is there's a downside to COVID, and no one thinks that. And then
I know. Remember, I said, "Who is the guy who said, you know what? This COVID has a downside."
Dana and I are doing this because I could pull him out like pulling teeth to go to dinner, which has to be within a quarter mile of his house. And then we would talk and laugh. And we told SNL stories, and we have dinner with Neil and another guys from the show. We thought, there's so many people that watch SNL. Let's try it. Let's just talk about it and bring in all the cast members or music or hosts and bullshit.
Yep. We could have called this Inside Baseball because it is. Everyone has a variation on a theme so far of their experience. Never forgetting it. But yeah, I was pretty demanding with restaurants. It is a quarter mile away. But one time you enticed me to Beverly Hills, and we sat near the kitchen and had to take pictures for a half hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that can happen
hey,
sometimes.
When the owner, we thinking some pigeons now. Hi. Which again, this is not complaining, but the place we go is pretty mellow. I like it dark and quiet.
I like when the busboy comes by. You know, a lot of people will help you at their level. Like he comes by, he goes, "Hey, Joe Dirt." I go, "All right." And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to give you some extra bread." And I go, "All right," because that's nice of him. At his level, that's how he's helping.
Hey, man, I don't mind that because I was a busboy for 3 years at the Holiday Inn. We called ourselves table maintenance personnel managers.
Yeah, I was not a great busboy. They always said, they had a big chart in the back, lift with your legs. I'm like, I've never lifted with my legs fucking once. Everything is across the table, and I have to lean over and pop my spine.
Jesus, so you were a busboy too?
Yeah, guy. I tried to be a waiter, and he goes, "You don't got the stuff." I go, "What stuff? This is harder."
It took me 6 months. I was a dishwasher.
I was a dishwasher.
I was that was the Hobart 3000. I was just bleeding and cutting and
we had
sweating.
the cum sucker 8000.
I would eat the food.
I ate
right off the thing.
Always in the back. I would watch people and go, "Don't finish that fucking steak, dude, because I'm going to eat it."
No, they were just thousands of plates, and then the guy came back every 20 minutes. My first shift. You want to still do it? Yeah, I'm not gonna quit because everyone would quit.
You know how I got fired is because the guy goes, "Don't be a waiter. You're not a waiter," and they don't like when you talk to them. I go, "But I'm like, I'm sort of an upbeat guy." They go, "I don't give a fuck. You're the busboy." So on a Father's Day, it was packed, and we were selling shark. That was a special. This is in Arizona, which is so gross. And so I walk by the table, and someone goes, "How's the shark?" I go, "I got a motto. I don't eat them. They don't eat me. Can I talk to you?" I go, "Fuck." So the manager goes, "What did I just say?" He goes, "What are you doing over there?" I go, "I don't know, killing." And he goes, "No, you're not." I go, "Dude, I'm getting applause breaks."
Hey, man, I waited on Rich Little.
Nice.
Everyone backstage, "Oh, dude, you're Jimmy Stewart." I waited on Richard Pryor. I waited on Carlin. I brought him a bowl of oatmeal, and he goes, "Oatmeal. Drop the O and you have at meal." I said, "Give it a rest."
Give it a rest. There's no blue food.
I gave Richard Pryor a Denver omelet, and I came back to get the plate. He goes, "Whoever made this omelet can suck my dick." And I never knew if it was a compliment or but I think he loved it.
That sounds nice. Well, Chris Rock is a good buddy of both of ours. I'm pretty tight with him. He's such a nice, cool dude.
He was in your team,
yeah.
your era. And but to me, always seemed just, it sounds kind of corny, like an old soul. I just don't see Chris like in high school skipping around or something.
No.
He had this wisdom about him, and he has this skill set of distilling things to the essence very quickly if you're around him. And he gave me an incredible compliment once because I was at 93. I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to leave the show." And he goes, "Leave the show? They're going to have to get like 5 guys to replace you."
Yeah.
It's such a sweet thing, but that was my experience.
He's a smart guy. He's very nice down deep. He's not like a cool super. Yeah, and he I think he's an honest guy, and we talked to him. He's very honest.
Just like, when he's off SNL and they ask about Lorne Michaels, and he says, "The man gave me a job."
Yeah.
There was never any complaining.
No bitterness that he got fired.
Nothing. Just
he's still one of my tight buddies. So let's hear from Chris.
Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, Rock, are you in that sweet pad I saw that was near where we ate?
Yeah, I'm in that sweet pad. I told you, when I go on tour, you can borrow it. You can help me stay. I don't care.
Rock said I could stay there. Hang on, Dana. I wet the bed, and so I said I shouldn't stay at his house because I'd feel embarrassed.
You still wet the bed. I was a bedwetter. There's no way to get out of a wet bed with any dignity. what happened, dear? But anyway, we'll get to the childhood stuff in a minute. But Chris, on a day off for you, not a family day, but a Chris day, like it's going to be totally off, no emails. You're going to have fun. Does that great Chris day include having to go on a podcast? Because you're performing.
I love the lady, but I really love Spade.
I know.
Yeah.
So you had to do it.
Anything
Rock and I
for
came
Spade.
in together. Yeah, thank you, Rock.
Almost anything for Dana, but anything.
No, but
for
you
Spade.
guys were the junior varsity who outdid the varsity. But we had a junior varsity team consisting of Farley, you, Sandler, Schneider, and David. I mean, it was an incredible junior varsity team that was being trained to take over when we left, in a way, right? No?
It was, it's amazing that, Farley, like Kobe Bryant, came off the bench. People forget.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do a whole show and we go,
too.
hey, how about this guy, Farley? Which is
I don't even know why they hired us, because normally they bring in the new people when the old people are,
gone.
start not doing great. You guys were in rare form. I mean,
that was the beginning of a 18, 20 person cast. When I came in, it was like basically 4 feature players, or there were 6 total. And that was the beginning. And now there's like 21. So it never went back to just 5 people being the cast right after that.
no, I don't think so. Yeah. I went the other night, and I couldn't believe how long
The credit roll is,
Don Pardo's like,
I was like,
and Jimmy,
and Al Roker.
Fallon.
Al Roker's on SNL? Like, I couldn't believe. It's like, how many people are in this cast?
We started, it was just so people know, I came on at the end 4 shows of the previous season. So Rob Schneider and I got hired to write for 4 episodes. On those 4, Dice Clay was the host. We had a couple of good ones, Alec Baldwin's first show. And then when the summer came, we got picked up. And then that's when Rock and Farley came, right, Rock? Were you a full cast or were you a feature player?
Me and Farley got brought on together. We were the new guys that year.
Yeah.
So we were
In
all sort of
September.
new together. Yeah. So we got close offices, and we Rock, who people don't know because he's tough on TV. So am I. I've come off like a hard ass athlete, but Rock is a nice person, and I was sort of out of my element from Arizona, and we gravitated just because we were kind of in over our heads, like everyone is there, I guess, when they start.
Yeah, I mean, well, they always had that thing. It was the stand-ups and the improv guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the improv guys were more technically prepared for the show. But the stand-up guys, because we write our own material and we live and die by the crowd, we were more, I thought, mentally prepared for the show. Like,
because the show
okay,
the show
it
is
killed or it didn't kill.
Yeah.
Like, we could, like the stand-ups, I thought, were less into the politics of who likes who and who's close with Downey and who's close with Lauren. That's like improv guys, because they're in a group think and stand up like Sandler to come from writing on the show and this by force of nature make himself, the biggest cast member.
Huge.
Only a
star,
stand-up could do some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
I think I caught on to Sandler. We always thought he's funny, but Chris, Dana, we all know great comedians that never pop or never make it. And I'm like, I watch a guy go, this guy's better than me, and I probably make more. You know what I mean? They're just, They don't get discovered. And when you see Sandler, I think it was somewhere around Crazy Spoonhead where I'm like, this fucking guy does not run out of ideas. He does not stop, and he just fucking crushes. It's every week it was a new one. I'm like, God damn, this guy's got it.
He would crawl around on all 4s down the hallway. I'd be in my office and I'd hear a little knock, and he would come in so gently and so quietly. But he wanted me to introduce Opera Man because he'd done it once and they didn't So that from Update, somehow I introduced it and it was separate and he had a little stage. And that was the beginning. But when I first saw Sandler, his likability and charm, let's just talk about him for a sec. He'll hate if he hears it.
Hey.
Just sitting in a chair and leaning back. Hey, I mean, it was like, whoa, and the girls liked him. Let's face it. And then he's Adam Sandler. But
he's the original Pete Davidson. He was...
Yeah, Pete Davidson, great comic, but I am fascinated by who he has sex with. I mean, that's a big part of my life, following that thing.
I was at the show. I guess I can say this without getting whatever.
Let's go.
And so, I'm at the Kim show. By the way, Kim was incredibly funny, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm just sitting backstage. I was like, who's it going to be? It's like, it's not me. It's not me. I'm like, she's probably met Blake Griffin already. It's like, maybe Pete. This might be it.
Really?
I mean, it's sort of pushed to the front because Colin Jost is married. It just sort of
gravitates.
Right.
It was like, Colin's married. I was like,
you'd be good though.
No, I'm more of a Chloe guy.
Oh.
Well, the language starts like this. Aren't they're just friends?
Plus, I'm friends with Kanye. That would have been too weird.
Oh, yeah, that would have been too weird. But they always say they're just friends. Then they say they enjoy each other's company. They're hanging out. You see the trajectory here. At first, I thought... They're
both lovely people, by the way. So
Pete Davidson is
well.
Very charismatic as a person. I really see why women would like Pete. He's funny. He's cool. He's got a great voice.
He's really tall too. It's like how many funny tall guys are?
Tall trumps most things.
Yeah,
most things.
Rock, I have a question about when you did your first. Do
you have like questions prepared? Did you guys actually?
Yeah, we care about you.
My goal was for you not to be bored. So you got on SNL and then Bring the Pain really blew up, right?
Oh my God!
You know what I mean? So I have questions for you that I'm actually curious, like as if we were hanging out. Yeah, but if you want us to ask about anything, let us know.
I'll answer anything you
want. I'm curious about
David.
Rock felt if it was not fair, but I did one weekend update in my first 4 shows and it scared the fuck out of me. We all weren't really actors. We hadn't done much. So Rock's first show, they were so salivating over Rock to come in and do all these sketches they couldn't do that I remember, I think they overloaded you with so many, because there was a Confederate sketch especially.
Yes. Only as I got, SNL hadn't had a black cast member in like 9 years. Most people think I'm the black guy after Eddie. I'm actually the black guy after Damon Wayans. And Living Color was killing it at this point. And there was like a bunch of whatever, SNL So White articles or whatever. And then I got hired. So, yeah, there was like this immediate thing where like, you're going to do some Eddie Murphy stuff, right? I'm like, I don't do any impressions.
They brush off all the old Murphy sketches.
Lot of pressure. The Eddie Murphy type stuff.
Any impressions. I don't do any voices. You know what I mean? Like, I do what I do. I mean, but so yeah, I guess there was pressure.
You have to act and you have to look at cue cards and just being in one sketch, you're terrified all week, or I was. And you have to inch your way in. And you were like hosting that first time, because I remember you were in a lot of sketches. They're pulling you every which way. You have a million costume changes. And the scariest one was I was a soldier in the Confederate soldier. I don't know what the sketch was. You were the first black general or something. I don't know.
Franken wrote it.
Franken. And he was fucking roughing you up.
No one should have to work with Franken the first year on the show.
Never. That's what I was getting at, is he's so tough. Now, what are you doing? What?
It's like, okay, you've been on 2 years. Now you can work without Franken.
God damn.
He was intimidating.
He's great. He's an amazing guy, but,
he's a little intimidating. Because he's very blunt. That wasn't very funny. You have to get used to that.
He's the white Lou Gossett Jr. from Officer Agility. Like, he's
100%.
like,
what you gonna do? Mayonnaise? Was it that what he called it?
Mayonnaise.
Great movie.
I remember that sketch. I was like,
he's the Jewish Lou Gossett.
Rock, but was it weird? Because if I didn't really think about it that way, but In Living Color is doing great. You must feel like you're almost stuck on SNL, because it's like, fuck, I should be on.
I did. I mean, I loved it and I loved you guys, but it was a weird I'm sure Jackie Robinson used to like go to Harlem after the fucking games with the Dodgers and shit. It's like, shit's happening uptown. Why am I here with Pee Wee Reese? But
Pee Wee Reese, good reference.
When you went on In Living Color, you finally went on there. Was it fun or was it not fun at that point?
No, but I finally got there. The Waynes were gone. Keenan was gone. I was like,
I didn't know that.
I don't even know what the hell I was on. But it was weird. I got to work with Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx was there.
Oh, good.
All of that SNL and Living Color, it was just for me to make friends and to kind of learn about writing and writing on a deadline. Yeah. All of that was just training. And, I was supposed to do stand-up. Thank God.
Yeah. It's a humbling boot camp that just reminds you that everyone got there because they were good, and then you're immediately shit on. And it's like a wake-up call, like, oh, fuck,
I'm not the first guy to, like, maybe, the show wasn't perfect for me, but, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Stiller,
Oh, yeah.
It's like a lot of people that kind of,
Jim Carrey, I auditioned with Jim Carrey, and I thought, well, they got to pick Jim Carrey. Guy's insane. But he killed on In Living Color. Yeah. I
auditioned, the night I auditioned, me and Sam were auditioned. We were at the Chicago Improv. And Dana Gould was so good.
Know him well.
Oh, wow.
I left the audition.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even stay to meet
Sam
Lauren.
Fran guy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is over. This guy.
Smart, funny.
Yeah. Smart, funny, like, whatever. Like, this guy's so much better than me. I am out of my league. And I left. And later that night, Lauren, found out what hotel I was in and told me to come downstairs and basically told me I had the show. I didn't even, that's how good Dana Gould was. Like, let me get the fuck out of here because I'm wasting my time.
I think with Lauren, it's like almost a sports analogy or something. He's looking at people can play well together a little bit.
Well, I asked him that in reference to Dana Gould, and it is no knock on Dana's had a great career writing on The Simpsons. It's fucking great specials, the whole thing. Lauren said the thing. I said, "What did you see in us?" Because I was like, "What did you see in me and Sandler?" Because we both were like, "What the fuck are we doing here?" And he said, "Well, you guys had original thought."
Yeah, that's a big thing is writing. They always look at the writing, and I don't think that.
We both had like a joke somewhere that he hadn't heard before. And
I love that.
That's why he hired us.
What would be like at that time? Didn't Sandler's have the thing about who's guarding Wilt Chamberlain?
The Wilt Chamberlain thing's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Pieces
For people
of comedy. That should be an NFT.
Explain that.
It should be an NFT.
It was so original and so funny, but I want to know what your signature thing you might have had at that, or your go-to,
moment,
your most surefire bit.
I had a bit about going to an abortion rally to meet women that I knew were fucking. That was.
I remember that.
That was pretty radical.
That was radical in
1989, 90.
Yeah.
It's like whoa.
Well, Rock came with more hype than Sandler. I think Rock, when I got there, everyone was telling me, pss, pss, pss. And I also heard a lot of hype about Farley. And then we knew Sandler from the Valley, so me, Schneider, and maybe Dennis, maybe Dana were helping, saying Sandler's funny. He came soon after, but it was weird. Like first, you can tell if people had game, and sometimes you can just tell around the office. You can tell it read through, but I definitely was looking around that place going, everyone's great. It's on. I mean, when you go down to Smile,
it was the
Jack Handy
School of Comedy.
Talk about original thoughts. Every Jack Handy sketch, I've been reading through going, you're fucking shitting me. I should quit the business. I don't even know what I'm doing. He would the weirdest ideas.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I remember Mike Myers, just shit that didn't get on. I still remember to this day. I'm like, what the fuck?
I've mentioned to people, they ask me about, the greatest cast, whatever. And I mentioned specifically 90 to 93 because there were too many cylinders firing. And you'd have a Toonces the Cat or Myers do Sprockets, you do Nat X, David do this, Sandler, you guys were coming up and getting a fan following. I think those 3 years was like, sometimes I'd sit back and go, man, that show kicked ass.
Because they got the overlap. They got you guys and we're coming up and it's crossing. And then you guys all leave and then it's just us. But
yeah, we had Phil, we had Jan, we had, it's just like, that was a wild time. Yeah.
It was insane. I learned more there than I had learned, any other time in my life. And good people,
Rock, you're friends with Kanye. Is he crazy?
He's an eccentric guy,
I do say eccentric because Kanye, I think, is so smart, like in maybe that Elon Musk way or something, because he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes you not fit in.
With Kanye, I always go, is he worth it? And I was like, so far.
As a friend or just as a
just as an artist, it's like puts you through a lot, but you're like, okay, that record's pretty great. Hey, I love these sneakers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this true? And I love that if it is true, but I think he had a problem at SNL with a sketch or something, a music thing, obviously, and there was technical issues. He said, apparently, you don't understand, I'm Stanley Kubrick. So I thought, to me, Stanley Kubrick is like,
Yeah, I mean, compared to the Fat Boys, he is Stanley Kubrick.
But to reference, I'm Stanley Kubrick.
Like, in the world of rap, yeah,
that's an NTF. I'm Stanley Kubrick.
Compared to Young MC, yes, he is fucking Stanley Kubrick.
Well, my kids turned me on to hip hop and rap. Now I love it, but it took me a while. But now it's gone to porn rap, which is very interesting.
Hey, porn's always interesting.
It's gotta go. You gotta meet the two. They gotta meet at some point.
It was inevitable.
Yeah,
it made total sense when it happened. Cardi B was on the Super Bowl commercial. Mike and I did. Couldn't have been sweeter and just gentle, and I wasn't that familiar with her music, but meeting her and then hearing WAP, it's like, okay, I got it. You
know what's really funny about Cardi B? A friend of mine's turned me on to her years ago, just from her Instagram feed, and I tried to get her a deal at Comedy Central to do a show, like a comedy show,
because she's funny.
I thought I'd never heard one rap. She wasn't even rapping or whatever at the time. I was like, this girl's funnier than everybody.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? You told me that about Nicki Minaj years and years ago. I didn't know who Nicki Minaj was, and you go, I said something about her, and you go, actually, she's really funny. She's got a great personality. And that was the first me going, oh, really? I like that you look at it with those eyes, because sometimes I can't help it when I meet women, and not that you were dating them, but when you just meet women, that sort of easy, funny thing that comes out of them is always really a great quality, because they don't try to be like Robin Williams. They're a funny personality. I love it.
Well, you're a handsome guy, David, so you think you have a chance. I don't think I have a chance.
You're the good-looking guy. Whenever we go out, they like Rock better.
Okay.
They always go, why aren't you Chris Rock? And I go, I can't be.
Don't you get more handsome than ever, Chris? Don't you get that?
Oh, thank you.
It's not it's not like you're aging horribly. I'll just say that you're very
We're
great.
all doing well.
He looks cooler when he gets older.
Yeah, if I lean back and have the mic here, I'm in good shape. The neck is not happy with this age, but this is pretty good. You lose volume in your face, and your face recedes into your skull. So you need glasses. This is something Jerry Seinfeld will do eventually. But should I ask you kind of off the kilter question?
Ask a question. Last night.
Oh.
Because I'm name dropping.
Oh.
Who did you have dinner with, you guys, last night?
Me, Jerry.
Colin.
Just what the fuck? Paul McCartney.
Good.
Jesus Christ.
Guy O'Siri, Jimmy Fallon, JR.
Did they shut down the restaurant or what the fuck?
And Aziz Ansari.
Which Cheesecake Factory?
So Paul McCartney goes, I'd like something, a little sudsy on the top. And Jerry goes, I don't want anything with suds. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say that as a name drop. I was just feeding Dana.
I love that. The line. I do Jerry Seinfeld as a serial killer, because I don't think Jerry has two gears and Fallon does this one gear. But sometimes Jerry goes, when he did his president bit, someone wanting to be president, I think I'm just the right guy for that thing. I think I could do president too. He has that do-ba-do-do-do. So I do him as a serial killer. I'm just going to go in, cut your spleen, go down the liver and do the thing. Anyway, sorry. I could do Paul McCartney. Killed.
Kills.
Killed.
So what do you
the
like?
lady always kills.
So when you're in that situation with those people, you just look at the table and kind of go, I belong, right? I mean, you're chill.
I mean, you're in that situation. We're in that situation right now. We're all pretty accomplished, us three.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, nobody looks at Paul McCartney and goes,
I should be here.
How you doing, my equal? Nobody does that. But
he's so, there's no way
maybe
like
Jared. But, through lots of therapy, I can kind of relax doing
But
these things.
McCartney seems like he likes to hang out with people. Funny people also get a pass. They like little court jesters around. I've been invited to shit out of mostly curiosity factor. They just go, Spade, go. Keep things moving. I'm like, beep, beep, boop, boop. You know what I mean? They like that you're going to say something funny.
You're enough, David. You don't have to be a jester. You're enough.
I just got the results back. I have to be, they told me. My therapist told me.
So Chris, I went into therapy with Conan's therapist. I piggybacked on his therapist at 5. I was in it for 5 years. What? So you went through it intensely, right? So what's the headline? What's the takeaway for you? You know, mine is that I have a hard time taking care of myself. I'm always trying to help other people. That'd be one of them. You know, I bought a guitar for my nephew, a really nice guitar. And then I had a hard time buying myself a guitar. And I have a lot of money. And I said, God, I'm sick. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, this apartment is probably the first real purchase I've made for myself in about 28 years.
Right.
Since I got that Corvette for
at SNL?
At SNL, like life-changing purchase.
And so what was that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
yeah,
always doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, what I've learned in therapy is like, childhood trauma is like some real shit.
For real.
And you gotta, until you deal with all your childhood shit, nothing's gonna work out for you. You gotta start at the beginning. It's like working on a script. Okay.
Interesting.
Page 1.
So when I met you, you were a young man. But
I was a young man.
Were you ever kind of like snarky and spoiled in high school? Because by the time I met you, you seemed kind of like this guy, at least in maturity. You weren't bitter. You weren't snarky. You were never in a group with comedians kind of shitting on some other comedian. So I noticed that attitude you had as a young man. But I guess the childhood stuff for me, it was like I had a lot of anger, and it was in my stand-up. It was in my characters. And once in a while, I'd go off on any kind of authority figure that turned into my dad. But I got past that. But how did your anger express itself then to you?
I mean, here's the weird thing. It's when I was, my childhood, I was bullied ridiculously. Half of it, the bullying, because I was just a little guy. And then I got bused to school. So I was a little guy and I was black, right? Hard. So it's like I'm getting double bullied. If I was white, I would have probably got bullied too, but it was just
double.
like
But you're also supposed to be tough, probably.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, right? And it was pretty like every day. So it's weird. I had a weird temper. It's gonna be a weird thing. I was the oldest of 7, and I was weirdly smaller than my younger brothers. So it was a weird thing where your brothers like, hey, so-and-so down the block bothered me. And I'm like, I gotta fucking go protect Andre or Tony.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm fucking smaller than them. So anyway, one day a guy really disrespected me really bad, like mushed me at a party. And like mushed me and pushed kind of like kicked sand on my face in front of girls and shit. And I went home. I put a brick in a book bag. This is like a legendary story in my neighborhood.
Like Bad Boys, yeah.
And I fucking swung that shit and smacked this guy in the face with this brick. and then stomped him Joe Pesci style.
Wow.
Now, to the point, we thought he might die for even 3 days later. Every time a cop or whatever would come through the block, we'd be like, we're literally talking about ways of getting me to down south like that would have helped.
Huh.
Long story short, from that day on, as my shrink puts it to me, you have been scared to be angry ever since.
Mm.
So the guy you saw was bending over backwards to be nice because I was so scared of my anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, I was frightened of what, my shrink, the good shrink, I got, like the top guy.
There's good ones and bad ones. Yeah, definitely.
There's good ones and bad ones, and he broke it down. It's like, we got to get you over that incident.
Right.
Because you're a nice guy, and this guy brought out something in you, and you're so scared of that thing coming out of you again.
Yeah.
That you let the whole world walk all over you.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends walk over you, your family walks over you, your female relationships, everybody just fucks you over. Because it's somewhere in there they know there's a force field holding you back.
Interesting.
So in the weird way, I'm like the opposite of you, in the sense that in the last year, now I can get angry.
Right.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of letting people know how I feel about certain things.
My therapy was about that too, though, because I was always the nice guy holding stuff in and not really. My aggression, my competitiveness overrode the nice guy. Because people ask me, who meet me now, well, did you just allow other cast members, like, oh no, Lauren, do their sketch, that kind of thing? There was a natural competition in me. But in my personal relationships, I hated confrontation because when confrontation happened at my house, bodies flew. My dad was just really violent. So even all my siblings are like that. We don't like confrontation.
Yeah, no, that's
and that goes too far.
My house too. It wasn't violent per se, but it was loud as fuck.
Yeah.
So,
but those things stick with you, just loud.
Yeah, it just sticks with you. So now, I can kind of, I can tell you, hey, I didn't like what you said to me, or I didn't like what without losing my head, without hitting anybody.
Well, that's a home run for therapy. Let me ask you a question. So this apartment, I can't see much of it. So it was a mental leap for you to buy this for yourself.
It's
because you were frugal too in a way, right? You're always you wouldn't be the guy who would spend to the hill.
I always say your best manager or agent is a low monthly nut. That is like
right. You don't want to be doing the fifth lead on.
If you can keep a low monthly nut, chances are your career will be okay.
Make good choices.
Yeah. You don't have to say There's meetings you don't even have to take.
Yeah.
When the cameo guy calls you up, you don't fucking return.
They called it "fuck you" money in the '80s, and I guess that's kind of what it is. Like, or now it's just no, thank you, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
When you said you were married, and you go, I think it's from your act. That are you scared she's going to take 50%? And you go 50. It's 80 now. Like, it is. You don't buy yourself much when you're married.
Didn't we have that conversation at the 40th backstage?
What did we have?
I thought there's so much there. You told me about the divorce, and you said, well, it's half. And, I just mentioned that other people I'd known in the business, and they go, well, it's half of, community property. And then the alimony adds up to more like 60, 70%.
It's about 70, yeah.
Okay, 70%, which is fair.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, I always say my ex-wife has made more money off of comedy than Robert Townsend.
She also said once, I'm the only comedian that has to drive a cab at night.
I'm going to change that to Uber.
Yeah, I know.
Updating my act.
What kind of choices are you making now as far as girlfriends and stuff, or dating, or like how are you and just therapies informing all of that? And I think women generally do like when someone's straightforward, Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how. I'm just not as desperate as I've been in the past.
Okay.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not like, that thing where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe someone's paying attention to me. And then,
Right.
And then you're in this weird lopsided thing where you both have one thing in common. You adore her.
Okay, here's a quote. I want you guys both to comment on
worship her.
This quote. Just comment on it.
Okay.
Whether it's true or not. Men want to be admired, and women want to be loved by a man they admire.
It's pretty accurate, I guess.
I guess. I mean, men want to be admired by who?
The woman in their
by
life.
Your peers.
Well, that's
like
too.
when I make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when I make a special or whatever, the only people I care about is like you guys.
Right.
I'm so flattered.
Comedians, not even comedians, just comedians. I think they're funny.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's
the rest I can.
And we know we're in the tribe. We know what, like when we see you on stage. Well, I always love how you have the chord and the way you move, and you're all dressed up and you look great. And the crowd's going crazy, and you're just hammering it. I know what work went into that. I'm like, fuck. And then to throw it all away and just be connected to it. Like I was really curious about this particular line you had, these anthems. And one was, a man's only as faithful as his options, which it seems like it was just hanging around, but it became quotable with my friends. It's not whether it's absolutely true, but it's just a very funny, astute observation.
It's pretty true.
I don't think I came up with it. I think like one of my uncles said it to me.
Well, that's coming up with it.
And I shoved it in a joke.
Yeah. But that's coming up with it, noticing it, and I think I can use that. Yeah. But
yeah, that one follows me everywhere.
Really? Oh, good.
Good and bad, Oh. It's like everybody.
A little too close for certain people.
It's like any girl you date. It's like, a man's only as faithful as his options. Like, hey.
They're like, so are you out of options? You're like, well.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Painted yourself in a corner.
I had it. Well, isn't that special? I can't get away from it. No, I'm kidding.
Rock, what are the 3 top things that people on the street know you for?
They know me for. I mean, they know me for. It's weird. It's like, especially because of YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't even know whole specials. They just know jokes about this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like specials end up becoming mixed together on some level.
Sure. They don't remember. They just go, that joke. You told this joke. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
Madagascar too.
I was on. I did a lot of Oprah Winfrey after Bring the Pain.
I remember
so
that.
So there's a certain amount. You'd be amazed at the housewives that or the that are into that know what I do. But I don't know. I mean, it's not SNL anymore. It's more movies here or there. It's I don't know. I'm like I don't know. It's like remember we were kids and you just see I don't know. I'm trying to think. Certain people were just famous and you couldn't even figure out why.
Yeah.
You're like, why is Charo famous?
You know what was hard for me to realize is when people
you're like, okay.
were recognizing me, I thought, oh, it was so great until I heard one person say, oh, I know that guy, he sucks. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't mean they like me. It just means they know who I am.
They just know you. I mean, I'll tell you this, that Grown-Ups is fucking.
Yeah, Grown-Ups is a big one. You're right. I was about to say,
really, any young person, my God, Grown-Ups.
We're keeping the lights on at TBS, I'll tell you, because it's on like
TBS
heavy rotation.
Plays Grown-Ups literally all the time.
1 and 2. You know what question I got, which you guys might not like? In my last interview, they go, "When were you the most famous?" And I thought, I know what he means, and I said the real answer is right now because everything's accumulation, and then.
There's fame and then there's heat. There's hot where the phone's ringing off the hook. So I could tell you when I was hot, but yeah.
I'm more famous now than I've ever been. But in around, it's me and Chappelle always joke about it. I always go, back when I was Drake.
That's like, drink them up. 2002, 4.
I was Drake, whatever, from 96 to about 2000.
It's like the third or fourth special in a row.
It was like 4 specials in a row.
All
it was
crushed.
very Drake-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no $1 Million Nights now, but there were.
Those are you. Well, Bill Burr, I don't know. What are these? What does he get?
No. Bill Burr, please. Bill Burr's,
If you could do Madison Square Garden.
You're doing arenas. You can, Man, Sebastian does 2 shows a night at arenas.
Yeah, unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah, I loved it. That guy really stood out for me. I mean, in the last 5 years, as just funnier.
Especially you go watch him at the store, you can't not laugh.
Oh, I laugh. I was in the back of the store and just going, oh my God, who the fuck is this guy? And then I come in the next time I saw his name, I go in and watch. The funny thing now to me is when people were playing like Madison Square Garden, like I think you've played it, Chris. There's these big places you hear of, like in Boston, TD Gardens, whatever it's called. There's so many big ones. The Forum. It used to be reserved for like Eddie Murphy, maybe someone else. And now when you hear people that aren't even household names to me, and you go, this guy's playing this play, you go, whoa, this is a whole new world where through a podcast or through YouTube or through their specials, where it is a little under the radar, but they have a crowd that comes out. It's pretty unbelievable. It's great.
I think the exposure and social media and everything else, they become friends with you. So it's kind of like your friend, nobody, is playing Madison Square Garden. Yeah,
and also, I think there's more. I know in Europe and around the world, they always respected stand-up as a high art. But in America, it's the stand-ups are becoming the real artists.
Yeah.
Because in music's become a producer's medium.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of singer-songwriters. No one gives a fuck about liner notes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that actually think are the comedians. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there's kind of
because you write your own stuff, which is hard to do.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I love Rihanna. Tom Segura is a better artist. You know what I mean? He writes all the shit.
Yeah.
He writes all of his stuff. Rihanna's great. She's amazing. But in the tradition, the nerdy tradition of coming up with your own stuff.
Would you rather date Rihanna or Tom Segura? Be honest.
I would rather date Rihanna.
Tom Segura is a great example of someone that does. I won't say numbers, but he does a podcast. And then I ran into him and he goes, "We do these live ones." So he makes a shitload off his regular podcast, and then he does a live one. And it's crazy where I go, you do not make that a 3-hour podcast. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, next one we did, it doubled. I was like,
I don't know him.
He's
So
a funny guy.
his podcast is great. And that's an example of that where I often thought when the web first came out, could I get 1 million people to pay me $1 a month and I'll just go ape shit on YouTube? And that's starting to happen a little bit where someone, I don't know Tom's numbers, but I would guess if he charges $10 and he gets 50,000 people on his live YouTube little podcast, he's making $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand too, like, I don't want to get too technical. Humans need people to talk, right? So, whatever, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, philosophers used to be famous. There's no more fucking philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
People used to be religious and went to a church every week. No one goes to church anymore. So the only place people actually can hear people say their thoughts is through stand-up.
It's really
We're
ironic.
the last of the speakers. And you know what I mean? The last of the thinkers.
Have you seen some of these preachers, by the way, are similar. They walk the stage, they're talking, they're rallying people, they're talking, everyone's into it.
When I'm writing new material, I watch preachers just as much as I watch stand-ups.
Really? Interesting.
You come off a little bit like that. You work the stage, you're like a panther.
Well, my grandpa was a preacher, my great-grandpa, I have preachers in my family line.
Well, you see, they're performers. What works? It works for them. They're loud. They give it to them. People
they find
listening.
a premise. They milk it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would, when my two sons were doing stand-up, and they had the main problem. So I was around open micers a lot, and the main thing was lack of clarity in the setup. So I actually put you on one of your specials. I said, look at this guy's language, this clarity of really digging into the premise. Everyone knows where he is, and then he drops the hammer. So, that makes sense to me. And obviously, Sam Kinison was a preacher. You could really see that,
Yeah.
My God.
One of the best.
The hardest guy to follow. I followed him once.
The hardest guy to follow ever.
I auditioned for Saturday Night Live and followed him as an unknown in 84 at the Comedy Store with no MC in between. Sam levitates the room, and now Dana Clarko. Death. I had no way out. There was nowhere to go, man. So, Chris, as far as just fun as stand-up, what size room and what's the situation? Like, for me, in a small room where I've got a notepad and I have some bits and I'm trying out new stuff, that is the most pure fun for me as far as stand-up.
I mean, it's weird. I start next week or the week after. I go to I'm not going to say where because I don't know when this is airing. But I'm playing a club.
3 years.
10 nights in a row in the middle of America, doing 2 shows a night.
Yeah.
Trying to get an act together so I can go on tour next year. That is fun. Once you get enough bits that
are working. I mean, isn't the greatest feeling a new bit that's unreal coming together?
Means you still got it.
My favorite time is early in a tour. You've been on stage about 45 minutes. You're killing. And and I just feel the audience is like, oh, you motherfuckers ain't heard shit yet.
You're loaded up. You're so happy.
Oh, you guys think you just heard a great joke. Wait till you hear this.
And your closer's coming up, yeah.
Have you ever wrote a bit, Chris, where it came together so perfectly that you thought, man, I don't know if I can write something that good again? I mean, or equal to it, So,
I'll say this bit, when my daughter Lola was born, the doctor hands me my child, and literally out of my mouth, I'm like, gotta keep her off the pole. It just came out of my fucking...
Say that again.
I was like, I gotta keep her off the pole.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Stripper pole.
And it's like one of the best bits I ever came up with. It was like, should I just get women pregnant to come up with me?
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a song. I'm sure you ask any song, people sometimes they're one-hit wonders, but there's one-hit wonders where I go, this is such a perfect song. Like everything about it is working. Everything. Yeah. And you go, and you don't want to be that as a comedian. So there's only a few things when you get older that still get me going. It's like there's a few tiny things in life, and one is coming up with new ideas, or saying something fast in real life. You're like, I fucking am, thank God my brain still works, because that's fun. And when you still like to do stand-up or still like to write jokes, I'm happy because I know some people that are burned out on showbiz or burned out on that, and they just don't like it anymore, but they go through the motions. Or a comic that travels with the same hour for about 20 years, which they used to a lot. Same act, same every year you'd see them. They come around to your city and I'm like, fuck, they didn't change anything. But it was okay. Now it's fun to write and see if you can scrape together another hour that's good.
But isn't that, it's sometimes, I would say I'm embittered by it, but I'm like envious, and I'll just say the Rolling Stones, I'm just envious of people, but we have to create new material, and rock stars can just do their top 15.
We don't even want them to.
And I really believe the Stones are better than they've ever been, because I think really winding down on a song over decades where you just know it so well, and Jagger never stops working. I mean, his voice is exactly where it needs to be at almost 80. But with stand-up, you're like, I can't, okay, got to start, fuck, a whole new hour. I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's and it doesn't get any easier. No. I'm sitting here right now. I'm like, okay, I literally have shows in less than 2 weeks. I have fucking shows.
Well, there's two things going on. There's Chris Rock unknown, surprising the audience. Now the expectation is, woo, You know, when they introduce you, to make sure they don't go over the top with it, because I've been dropping it, mics, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this guy's gonna bring it. You're gonna really, you know, what do you want the MC to do for you in the club? He's trying out stuff. What do you want him to say?
I just say my name, no credits. Okay. Just
don't hype it up.
You
or
know,
scream.
but I mean, it's weird because it's like
you can't get away from being Chris Rock.
You can't get away from being who you are. And by the way, you can't get away from being who you are to the guy introducing you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that guy's a comedian, and this is what he's.
I met Joe Coy once 10 years ago with Lovitz, or maybe it was 12, and he started tearing up just meeting me.
Yeah.
He started to get eyes were watering. I go, Joe, it's okay. You know, he's huge now, but there is that expectation, and you try to remember the way they see you. You know, the way you would see someone above the food chain when you were starting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I forget who used to say it. Somebody said at their first Letterman, they sat down and it was like talking to a $5 bill.
Because you can't. Yeah, you can't. Letterman was so intimidating to me that the last few years, I would just get on my heels. I'd be in the wings and I'd see him. The last thing I'd say when they'd introduce my name, don't give this show too much respect. Like, pretend it's Bakersfield Today, just to get past the intimidation of David Letterman. There was something about New York, that theater in him. And I didn't know he liked me.
I was intimidated by Biff. Biff was standing.
Biff!
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like looking out and he's like, 30 seconds. I'm like, fuck, Biff, I got to go out there? And he's so casual. And I'm like, all right, I got to get his level.
Yeah, I remember being...
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Biff wasn't an actor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he was on the show.
He's the last thing you see.
He actually was.
And they make him work.
He really wanted affirmation from Biff in that. How you doing, Biff? Biff, you all right? Oh, cool.
I was like, Biff, you know, there was a time Biff was more famous than me. It was like,
fuck yeah.
Like, where's your dressing room, Biff?
All right, let's let him go, Dana. We did good with him.
This was so much fun, Chris.
It's always good.
This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13. Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Serena Reagan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13. Hi, I'm Dana Carvey. Anyway, so last week we had Sharon Stone. Her show aired. She was great, and so we talked about this sketch where I played an Indian gentleman, and Kevin Nealon was in it. Rob Schneider was in it. Phil Hartman, Tim Meadows, and we were sort of asking her to remove clothing to go through an airport security thing. And I said, I apologize. So it got some traction out there, like it was a tearful hat in hand apology. It was. I was kidding, really. It was like I officially want to. It was 1992. I don't think I wrote that sketch. So we had writer, the whole audience went crazy. Sharon, you do the sketch like 6 times with, the read through and this, and then rehearsals. She was such a sport with it. So there was no reason to apologize, but it really got traction. Like it was sort of a tearful, I'm so sorry.
It was like Dana Carvey goes on hands and knees and begs forgiveness.
Yeah. It's like, look, I did every nationality. I still do it. I don't make apologies, but if sidebar, a very, very good friend of mine is Hindu. He's from India. He's the director of cardiology at Cedars-Sinai. I call him PK Shah, Dr. Shah. He's brilliant. He's a really good friend. Every single benefit I've done for Cedars-Sinai Heart Institute, I do some stand-up, and I can't get out of there until I do my PK stuff. And he loves it. So I don't have a problem with it, and my friend does not either. David?
Afterwards, they said, PK, what do you think? And he goes, I do not know who Dana Carvey is.
Oh!
I like, well, I agree, Dana, that we like to get talked about We get a lot of nice YouTube comments. We get a lot of people that talk about it, and articles get picked up about people we interview, and it's usually some fun stuff. And Sharon had so many articles about her interview, which means it was sort of interesting. She's very smart. She's funny. I love her. I think she's a great girl. And I even hit her up after and said, it's always funny the things you say on there. She just has quick wit. And she got picked up for saying Shia LaBeouf was a genius. She got picked up for saying Dana Carvey groveled and apologized to her.
Yeah, on all
now it's
fours.
groveled.
Well, yeah, she said, I know the difference between a felony and a misdemeanor or something like that.
Yeah, about like, she goes, I know when people are trying
knew.
to pull something on me, and you guys
Yeah,
weren't,
yeah.
and, whatever. She said, I've been, it's basically, she's in a showbiz with the Weinsteins of the world when she was here.
Yes.
And she knows what's real and what's actually terrifying and bad.
Yeah,
so.
she knows what it's like when the monster says, close the door, won't you?
Yeah. But
that was not that. Yeah.
But a goofball comedian like Dana.
A harmless goofball weighing
on a goofy show.
Yeah. It weighs 140 pounds soaking wet in those days.
Well, let's also talk about our lovely new guest, Christina Applegate.
Yes.
Who I know maybe a little more than you do, only because I knew her a little bit in the old days, because she was on, as they called it, Married with Kids, Married with Children, which was a monster hit. We had Ed O'Neill on here. Everyone likes that show. Everyone knows it. It was breaking a lot of ground. And she was like growing up, turning into a huge star on a big show. We got into that with her. She was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which Heather, I just read yesterday they're remaking. Is that crazy? Is that weird?
Yeah,
she didn't even say anything. I was like, I don't know if she knows. Anyway, she talked about everything in her life. What a lovely girl. We cracked up. We tried to make her laugh a lot. She made us laugh. And I had a great time with her.
Yeah, she's such a talented actress. And she talked very openly about her health issues with MS and how it's upended her life. And so it was a very real, raw interview. And she's funny the whole time. She's always being funny, but she's just being very honest about it. And so it was different in that way. But she has a new podcast out. And the name is, I was sorry.
With Jamie Lynn. It's Messy, right?
Yeah. It's Messy with M-E, a capital S, small S-Y. Messy, which they talk about dealing with different autoimmune diseases and MS, and then just anything that's messy in life. And I do think she's uniquely skilled as well to be a great podcaster. So.
Jamie Lynn, is it Siegler? And who's also was from The Sopranos, also a very funny actress. And so it's probably a fun one. They talk about stuff, but they keep it light. And she was cracking up because I know my neck gives me stuff. And when people start talking about that in my life, I'm like, I just want to talk about fun stuff. Like, I don't want to over talk about it. And I'm right now, people are over talking about that stuff with her. That'll go away. Let's get back to her career and how much she, how much great stuff she's done.
And she's super fast and funny. And there may be a podcast with David and no, I can't say that right. Remember that was our mic drop at the end. But she kind of reminds me of you, just in your quickness. She's quick.
She was a blast. Yeah. And I'm glad we got to talk to her. So here she is, Christina Applegate. Christina said 1 minute ago, she goes, is this today?
What?
They go, you're doing Fly on the Wall. She goes, wait, right now?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't know it. Honestly, yesterday I forgot that we were doing it today. So I'm glad that at least some people are on top of it.
I missed one with Will Arnett. I was just having dinner and I had no idea. So David did it without me.
I did the whole thing.
That's why it's great. You have a partner in your podcast in case you're like space out.
I've spaced out but no, we try to make sure we're both there.
Okay, let's start talking about your podcast and your hair.
Let's talk about your podcast and your hair.
Oh, I don't want to talk about my hair. It's filthy. No. That's not because I did Kimmel on Monday. I showered on Monday. There you go.
I saw your appearance on Kimmel. Extremely funny.
Thank you.
Relaxed, confident.
Yeah. We'll call it that.
I like the way you were like talking to the audience. Like, you guys don't really get me, do you?
I think the thing with having this disease is that people don't know if they can laugh. And I just try to make it so that we can just laugh so we aren't crying about it. So for me, that's kind of my MO basically, is that I know how it is for people to see me like this. You know, my appearance has changed drastically. I have a cane. It's a bummer. So I try to just let people off the hook, and then we don't have to talk about it, and we can not have that little elephant in the room.
Well, you also don't want sad faces.
I had a disease, coronary artery disease, and you'd get what I call the RCA Victor. The head would tilt.
Yeah.
And they'd say, "Are you okay?"
Right. The little dog guy. Yeah.
And yeah, you just want to diffuse all that, because who wants to be pitied? That's the worst feeling in the world.
No,
right?
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I want, if I have the opportunity, let's just laugh about pretty much everything. And that's not really how I feel inside. I mean, I'm bummed. Right. I'm bummed as shit. You know, I hate it, but I also I can't just like sit in it.
Yeah, I agree. And I like your MSMO, because it's a good way to handle any sort of problems going on in your life, where we're all kind of from comedy backgrounds, and it's sort of the move is to go back to comedy, because it's the only thing that kind of saves you and just keeps it light, even though it could be very heavy.
And it can, you know, behind my closed doors in my house, the people that are here with me, who take care of me, they see me crumble. So all the time. So out in the world, I just like to keep my nervous breakdowns private. We'll keep them at home.
Keep the breakdown for that 12 minutes of Kimmel.
Just push through. Say whatever comes to your mind.
I can be having the worst day of my life, and then I see David Spade's face, and then
it becomes worse.
It gets better.
Christina,
and then it's like, well, then the second thought is, how did I get myself into this? Third thought is, how do I extricate myself from this
job now?
But I think the fact that you're doing a podcast, because I listen to a lot. I think you have one out or two out.
We just started yesterday. I mean, it launched yesterday, but
just welcome to us kind of thing.
What we're about. Yeah.
I think you're really good at this. That's my blush review. So, and I think it's going to be great. So
thank you.
I told other people that before I told you.
Thanks.
People think, no, it must be fun for you, because it's such a fun, riffy brain exercise, like what we're doing right now. As a job.
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, this is my job now. You know, I am disabled. I don't think I can work. So this is my job. This is what I have going on in my life right now. And the only thing. So we started really about last year. So we've got like 10 episodes already.
Oh, really?
Done. Oh, so we can kind of relax right now, sort of. I mean, not, you know, as far as recording, but we have a lot of people coming up, obviously, but it's nice that we have the 10, so we can just kind of, you know, not, you know, freak out about what we're going to talk about. But what we do is, like, if we're having an issue in our life, Jamie will call, or I'll call her and say, I want to talk about this, but let's record it. And that's why we get it. It's very raw. And it's very honest, and it's not, you know, nothing's planned. And yeah, it's like our little therapy session that we.
Well, will you tell the fine people listening a little more? It's Jamie Lee Sigler, right?
Yeah. Jamie Lynn Sigler and I both have MS, and she's had it for about 20 years. She kept it a secret for at least 10. So she was living with this invisible disease, trying to hide it on The Sopranos. She was on The Sopranos, if in case nobody knows.
We know.
But she was hiding it. Until she couldn't. So, you know, when her walking got worse and things like that. So, but I couldn't imagine keeping it a secret, because I was like, once I found out, I was like, yay, I can tell people, because people were staring at me because I was walking weird or off balance, or my speech would get strange and my hands would shiver because my nervous system was going into overload. So that's our deal. And she and I are friends, and it was birthed out of the two of us literally just talking on the phone about a year ago or 2 years ago. 3 years ago. I don't know. How long have I had this? For a minute. So it just was like, we would talk on the phone for hours, and we'd be laughing and crying. And we're like, you know what? Let's record this, because I think not just people with MS want to hear this, but anyone who's just going through something. And we're all going through something. So that was really But then we also want to be funny, and we have great guests that are hilarious. And that's like our little comic relief is our guests are like people that we know, people that we love. And so those conversations are also in the same vein as the ones that Jamie and I do just on our own.
Did you set out to make sure you have a guest every time, or is it random? Like sometimes it can just be you two, or sometimes you have a guest, or is it always a guest?
No. There'll be like two of us by ourselves and then a guest. And we don't really have a pattern. It's
That's kind of good. That's less stress.
Oh yeah. Cause we don't want to have to deal with like people's schedules and stuff, and it gets changed. And
horrible.
So we have a lot of just the two of us talking about pretty deep stuff and some stupid stuff, just, and then parenting or whatever's going on that day. And then we'll be like, oh, who we should have on? And it kind of is dictated by them when they can do it.
Right.
But our three guests that we have recorded are pretty cool. It's like Edie Falco, Martin Short, and Jimmy Kimmel right now. So those are the ones recorded, and those we'll just space out as we go.
And it's called Messy.
Messy.
Just so people know, with a capital S. In the middle?
Yes, a big M and a big S
in the middle.
Yeah. I do like to say that was my idea, like a little play on
it's very
our
cool.
logo.
And I do like the name, because then it does give you the giant scope, because life is messy.
Very.
And on every quadrant. So you're never run out of stuff to talk about.
No, you don't. We really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dana
what would you like to talk about?
Yeah, we can talk about anything here. We can talk about Christina has always been on TV. I have some questions about, just because chronologically, when I heard about you was Married with Children. And one of my weird questions was, when you're on that show, which turns into such a monster hit, but you were pretty young when you started, and you were kind of a sex symbol when it ended. Is that a weird transition? You're pretty young to be a sex symbol.
Well, because I didn't see myself as that, I just went back to living my life, and I made choices after I left there to not do that again, not play the sexy blonde right away. I think the first movie I did when I left Married was called Nowhere. It was a Greg Araki movie, and I had purple and black hair. It was short. I had braces in it. I had a lisp. I had a limp. I went like complete polar opposite.
You went the other way.
And because I had that was for me like very cathartic for me to.
Sure.
Did you just get shorter? What happened, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my thing.
I didn't think you could get any shorter, Dave.
You fucking asshole.
Hey, wait a minute.
We promised we
That's
wouldn't.
That's the kind of honesty I love.
I'm more touchy.
That is Christina Applegate, and that is Messy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
I literally almost fell out of frame.
I know. I saw you went like from your up here and then
kind
you
of sat
down
You went down here for a second. So anyway, Hervé Valachet.
You're just trying to find your good angle.
Anything about me is off limits, but anything about you is on limits. That's what we've decided.
Fuck no. We're going to talk about you because you and I have known each other a very, very, very long time.
Could I get some dirt? I'm the third wheel here, but could I get some dirt that you guys have either experienced together or you talked about? Some dirt, some trending something.
I don't know if there's dirt.
Prince Harry, anything?
Oh, I don't know those people. Why would I know these people? I don't leave my house. No, but
made that up.
Dave and I. We met on SNL. I don't even think I was like 21 even. I don't know how old.
Oh, really? When you, wow. Because that was it still Married with Children, or you don't know?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it was 93.
I was
May
93.
of 93. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I sort of gravitated towards you and Adam and Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And we kind of hung out after work a few times. Like
we were probably 26.
Yeah, we were like,
so it wasn't that far apart.
We were going to bars. We were like, it was like you guys kind of took me under your wing, and I had such a good time with all of you. And that was, and of course, Chris and you and I being in the sketch the very first time, van down by the river, and we were laughing. Yes, that's legendary.
I have to say, I hear about that. I can't say every day anymore, but it comes up so many times because that's how your name comes up. Always, people go, "Oh my God, you were in the thing with Christina Applegate. Is that the first one?" And you were laughing. I'm like, listen, no one really wanted us to laugh.
That's like in trouble stuff. Like you get in trouble there if you laugh. But what had happened to me personally is I know now it's like, everybody giggle, laugh at yourself at how funny you is. You came down the stairs at the beginning and we had just done Gap Girls.
Oh, that's right.
And you still had purple eyeshadow on. So now I'm already done. I'm like, and it was not like just a little, it was like the full eye of purple eyeshadow or blue eyeshadow.
Not enough time to get it off, right? Yeah. Okay.
No. And I was like, I was already on the precipice of losing it. And then Chris comes out and does his thing, but he's taken it to 11. Whereas in rehearsal, it was 9.5, but then it was like, he went so far into Looney Town and Dave and I could not handle. And
We've never seen such bigness.
No, like Julia and Phil were so like kind of looking at us, like mad at us because we were like, oh no, they were very professional. And we were not.
Who went? I mean, because it's just it's so iconic. And Chris Farley did go to a level of energy that I don't think we've ever seen achieved on the show.
No.
Of pure energy of any kind. But did you guys simultaneously? Were you across from each other? Got eye contact and just?
No, we were side by side.
We were side by side, and I could feel.
And so, who went first? You could just feel him vibrating.
I think both of us. Yes. He was my vibrator that day. No, he and I think we both broke at the same time. It was one thing he did. And you and I both just like, I could feel both of us like trying to hold it in as much as we could.
Yeah.
And then I put my hair in front of my eyes because I knew I had a line come up, like my only funny line in the sketch. And I was like, I'm going to say this freaking line.
What do you say? What are you going to do with your life? And you say, I'm going to
live down by the river. And I, with everything that was in myself, was to like pull it together, just to deliver the line. And then I was done again.
Then you can punch out again.
Yes, I could punch out.
He made, I'm just thinking of it now, just the deep squat he was in, and then the way he would pull up his pants. Again, he just took it to a level I've never seen. That's a movie's done before, but it's supernatural.
That corkscrew where he's like pulling his belt from side to side.
It was just...
And then he falls into the table, and that was it. I think we were like, did he ever fall into the table before? And we're like, yeah, he fell into the table before, but the way he had fallen into the table in that particular moment was way... dangerous.
It's the real one versus the rehearsal one. And the real one matters, and that's when everybody gives everything.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you're peaking on air. You want to think, "Oh, this is the best I've ever done it." You hate to peak at.
He almost fell through the floor too.
Oh, it was so nuts. Oh my God, he was so lovely. He also, I remember, they have this meeting when you get there as a host where all the cast and writers and get together and pitch ideas in the room, which I know you both know that, but for your listeners, may not know that this is your first introduction. And you can kind of tell if people are interested in having you there. I don't think anyone was very interested in me being there because the ideas were all kind of shit. But I remember Farley was he sat at my feet and he just looked up at me with this like crazy look on his face and just giggled and just kept giggling. And I was like, who is this very odd human being?
Who is this ox?
And he came up, he pitched the van down by the river.
Oh, did he pitch it in the meeting? Oh,
I believe he did.
That's
great. I do remember Lauren saying to me, hey, Chris has been pitching this van down by the river thing for years. Would you mind if we do it? He literally said that to me. He's like, I got to throw him a bone on this one. He's pitched it so many times. And I was like, yeah, of course. Why are you asking me? I'm not the boss here. Yeah. And so we did. And then
that is surprising.
Because remember, Bob Odenkirk wrote it, and then Bob left she must have left by now, because I think he said they did it when he wasn't there. So Chris wanted to get it on. Yeah.
So it was like a favor, let's say, and for it to become one of the most iconic, sketches in SNL history is kind of amazing. And I'm so happy to have been a part of it with you.
I loved it too. That was a big moment for me to be in something that was memorable. You do 6 years in that show, and just like life, there's a handful of things people remember from it. And that's definitely, to be in one of them was an honor. And it made me remember you forever because we got to be in one thing together. I just saw when when Travis Kelce yelled at the coach at the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw that. I don't. I watch reality programming. What Super Bowl was it again? 49? Anyway, so
Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid.
Nothing like it.
So Travis Kelce's yelling at the coach, and then the next day there's a meme of Travis Kelce as Farley yelling at me, and then I never even saw next to me was you, but they put Taylor Swift there. So it's a meme of him yelling at us, and I'm like, me and Christina, they go, no, that's Taylor. And it looked exactly like you, but it was
I'd love to see that. That's funny.
Oh, I'll send you a link. Oh, also, let's talk about another monster is, well, I don't want to skip over Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I love that.
It's such a weird phenomenon.
Don't people love that?
Like to this day. So. And I was like really little when I did that.
Was that mid Married with Children or something?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Oh, God. 20.
You're like 20. You're like the babysitter, but it was such a weird movie, Dane. Not just weird. It was just a good comedy with a funny title, but I don't remember even that much about it other than going, God, that's a funny movie.
I don't remember that much about it either because it didn't do well, but it's become this thing. And, catchphrases have come from it, and it's so strange to me. Like still people tell me about it.
I think that's very important. I have some movies do okay, a lot don't. And then you go, I just want 10 years later, the ones that I hear about the most matter because that hits something in somebody. And that's what matters. There's some movies that make 200 million and you go, oh yeah, I saw that when it came out. And you go, there's nothing memorable about it. There's nothing. It just comes and goes. So I like the ones that hit a nerve like that.
Yeah, I think we had to pay people to see it. I think it was one of those situations.
Oh, it got to that far.
Yeah, it was a real slam, not dunk. It was real bad. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And then, I'm right on top of it, Rose, and Dishes Are Done, Man, and all these things that people still say to me.
Yeah, you were pretty snarky in it. Was that right?
Yeah, I was very snarky, and I've always been very snarky.
Yeah.
And especially when I was doing it, it was like a studio movie, and I was so like into independence. I'm like, I am not going to do a studio film.
Horrible.
It's real bad. Like I need an indie. I was really that asshole. And so I was like super resenty doing it too. And I think
I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah, I'm doing you a favor. So I guess it kind of like made the character kind of a different teen like icon because I was such like smoking cigarettes in it and like just snarky and just
and there's a death like in it right care. Away. Yeah, you don't give a fuck.
I don't care. And yeah.
I think Dana, somebody died. I don't know. Somebody dies and you keep it going. Right?
It's in the title, sweetheart.
Okay, don't tell mom.
Tell mama.
The babysitter's dead.
It's starting to sink in. Now I'm starting to get it.
Okay,
and is it available on Amazon, Netflix, Hulu?
Sure, it's available.
Christina will come over and just act it out.
Wherever you get your 90s teen comedies.
90s stuff.
You can also, it's tied up with PCU in a package deal.
Yeah, there you go.
PCU was a movie I did in the old days.
But there you go. Back then we didn't get back end, which really now to this day like makes me so mad because I know people have been watching it and buying it and stuff over all these years. And
that's the kind that makes 10 million in the theater, Dana, and then it makes 100 million on video, and someone's quietly raking the fucking money in, but it's not me or Christina.
Right. Anchorman was the gift that kept on giving because we also didn't make the money that they wanted us to make when it opened.
Oh, really?
It was considered a flop.
Oh. What?
Like one of the executives at DreamWorks, who was a friend of mine, like called me crying on Monday going, we didn't do it. We just didn't do it.
God
and
damn.
Then it just grew and grew and grew. And we were lucky enough to have a little PC piece on the backy back. And once the DVDs, DVDs came out.
Oh,
that's no tapes, VHS tapes. Sorry, there weren't even DVDs back then. Once that happened, it was like the little checkies would come in and I'd be like, well, this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Mailbox money.
Not anymore, but
No, but then
back end from a movie is so rare.
Yeah.
Use it.
Like it was a
bomb. I can't believe Bob Iger would say it was a bomb because it was so different. And then it's like a cult classic. How much did it eventually make?
Oh,
300 million.
Probably something. I mean, like I'll never see it even close to what those people did. Yeah. But I mean, the fact that like it was like that Monday morning was a somber Monday.
What a bummer. You couldn't even celebrate. It took so long for you to figure out it was a hit. One day you're just like, I think this is a fucking hit.
Yeah. And then it's now
a sequel.
Yes.
So it has to do X amount to really, sequels are a gamble. So,
but it took 10 years for it to like,
yeah,
it was really 10 years of people finding it for it to become that.
Wow.
Yeah, but so many lines. Talk about lines to repeat. So many stars,
God.
and so many people that just fucking love it. And you had such a good part.
Yeah, she was a fun one, and I wasn't sure about doing that either. I was like, so that guy. I was like, I don't know.
What were you sure about?
You dodged one bullet, Christina. I think.
Let me go do that $100,000 budget movie and be like, really indie.
Sundance.
I think you didn't Mike want to get you for Wayne's World 2, which didn't do that well. I think
the part was it being like a slutty girl, I think, or like myself.
Oh,
but like, or the idea of what I was, and me,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do that because I am an artist.
I remember Lauren saying, Christina passed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dana. That was a dumb move.
News on the set today.
You were fine. I always, when anyone turns down anything, my respect meter goes up. Like, they just do what they want,
Christina wants to know if it could be an astronaut instead.
Yeah, it's an astronaut of science.
Top of her class.
Yeah.
My wife, who probably didn't watch Married with Children, things like this. So she got really acquainted with you on Dead to Me and is a crazy fan of that show. So that must be kind of fun for you, where people are like, aren't that familiar with all your work, and then see this show, which was brilliant.
Thank you.
And really, I tell people Ozarks. I tell people,
why didn't you turn down Dead to Me?
Have you seen Dead to Me?
I was going to lose my SAG insurance.
I was offered the James Marsden part.
You were.
Oh. It was me and Jimmy Marsden.
You and Jimmy
and
Jam.
I said, let Jimmy do it.
You said, I owe Christina a turn down. I'm passing.
Why didn't I turn that down?
No, I'm saying, why did Dana turn it down?
Why did Dana turn it down? Oh, yeah, okay.
On Dead to Me?
Yeah. He can't be bothered with that shit.
You never hurt your career by saying no. These are Laurenisms.
There you go.
No one's ever ruined their career by saying no. It's only when like you say yes.
Yes. He produced a show I was on called Up All Night with Will Arnett and Maya Rudolph. I know you're like looking at like, what was that? I was like, it was on for 2 years, guys. And it was actually really good. It's actually a really good
TV?
Show. On the television programs. On
NBC?
Was it NBC?
I had to have been because
that's
them.
A Lauren. Yes, it's a Lauren. Yeah. So I saw Lauren a lot while we were doing that.
No,
and all your
channels.
SNL people. Emily Spivey created it.
That's pretty safe route. You got Lauren, Emily, you got Maya, Will.
It was very SNL heavy.
When did that bomb?
13 years ago. 13 years ago because I had just had my baby and now she's 13. So we did that for 2 years, from 2011 to 12 to I think then, in 2013, the old plug-a-rooney was pulled. And put us to rest.
I hate that when I hear about shows getting canceled.
But it's actually really, like, I've seen it now. I didn't see it at the time. And I watch it now, and it's really clever because it's about new parents and kind of that. And I was going through that at the time, and Will was going through it, and Maya was going through it, like having like little ones and trying to live life and struggling between like trying to stay young and like drinking all the time, just all the things that you like give up for being a parent. It was actually quite good. I'm not going to lie.
I like this figure of speech. That cast is a murderer's row. It's a murderer's row. We have Christina and Maya and Will.
Well, people at home that learn about Hollywood, really, if you're pitching a show, even to this day, they'll be like, who's your showrunner? We want a sexy showrunner that people know, like a Tina Fey, someone they just don't want to get fired. So they're like, if I put Christina in it, she's a big star. Tina Fey is a big writer. We get a big producer in there and we get a good studio. That is the safe way to try. They'll buy that because they don't want to have anyone pointing to them saying, why would you buy that? It didn't work. You say, this is the safest we can do. Everyone's good. And so with that cast, everyone's good. Probably a good idea. And sometimes, and 2 years isn't bad. That's not bombing overnight.
I am the 2-year queen. Every show that I've had that's been my show has only been 2 years, except for Dead to Me. 2 years.
Oh.
Dead to Me was 3, so it didn't really make it out of there too much. But no, I agree. I mean, I think that, but also with our show, like we got to cuss on NBC. So we were like the first show that like we bleeped constantly. So it just kind of made it a little edgy, a little whatever. It was like it's a cool little show. But I think then they kept moving us. That's what happens a lot.
The
they
kiss of death.
It really is. We were doing so well. And then they're like, you're doing well. So let's move you.
Yeah.
To a
Are
night
you strong enough to hold another night? And they're like, nope, and goodbye.
And bye. Yeah, that was kind of what happened.
I did 2 years with your friend Katie Seagal on my
Aww.
friend on 8 Simple Rules. Let's look at a clip.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
She was great and she had done yours and she was great. She's such a solid, like, knows what she's doing.
No, she's an earth mama. She raised me. So I always say if anyone has any issues with me, it's because I was raised by Katie and Ed. So it's like, if you don't like it, it was Katie and Ed. If you do like it, it was Katie and Ed.
Yeah, she was raising Kaylee and the other girls on that show, and they went for her all the time. She's
what Ed O'Neill speak. I mean,
yeah,
we love Ed O'Neill. We kind of love Ed O'Neill, like want to hang out with him?
Yes.
I don't know.
He and I talk on the phone like at least 3 times a week.
Oh, really?
Oh,
great.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
Yes. Like at least 3 times a week. But he calls me a lot too. And Eddie, it's totally fine, but he'll call me like at weird hours and he knows I sleep to a certain time. And then I'm like, get all these missed calls from Ed. And I'm like, is there an emergency? And he's like, no, I just want to talk, So, but yeah, we just sit on the phone for like an hour sometimes and just laugh and talk about life.
Yeah. He's something about him. He's fun to talk to, man.
Does he FaceTime you from his Brinks truck?
No, I know.
The gold bars behind him.
Beep, beep, backing that motherfucker up. I swear to God. Wow.
Never ending.
Yeah.
We went off topic with him because he was like our second guest, and I became so fascinated by his background. He was almost a made guy, and he's got these Popeye forearms, and and he's so gentle about it and real. Is like, there's no sense he's an actor. I said, were you thinking when Married with Children was blowing up, what's going to happen to you? He goes, no, I was just thinking finishing that week's. I mean, he's the most kind of blue collar vibe about a star, and so fun to talk to about anything.
Yeah. And really just says stuff that's not PC and those are behind closed doors. And it's always been that way. He doesn't care. Different generation.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
But he's awesome. And I think it's so nice now that because I am a grown, I'm 52 years old, and we didn't have this kind of relationship when we were doing the show. We were the kids and Dave and I, and kind of treated differently, like second-class citizens, basically, if you're the kids.
Sure.
And, now
in the household and in the show.
Yes. And now, we can be friends because I'm a grown up. I've had a lot of life that I've lived. And so we talk on the same level, which is what's really nice. And we love each other to death. And Katie too. Katie's come to see me a couple of times in the last year, and she lays in my bed and we just hold hands and talk and cry and watch TV.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a part of your upbringing that it's probably hard. It's just you were kind of a child star. I mean, when did you start that thing?
Well, we started Married at 15, but I've been, I joined SAG in 1974. So this has been part of my life for not kidding. I'm
doing a honeycomb commercial.
I don't even know what I was doing, but I've been in SAG for a long time. And so I did a lot of stuff before that. I was on 2 different series before that, and that no one saw, obviously. And then lots of guest appearances on everything from, Silver Spoons and Family Ties, everything that was on at the time I was on. And
what was funny and Married with Children was, I think when you came in, or any girl that was pretty came in, the audience goes, woo, before you could even say a line. It's so funny.
It was,
they started to go crazy.
We would actually get annoyed sometimes.
Yeah,
because
of course. It breaks the rhythm.
It breaks the rhythm, but it also takes up time. And then, but I never thought I was I created that character because I saw a movie called The Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Penelope Spheris.
Yes. Yeah. And there was a girl in there who just won Miss Gazzari's, and they were asking her what she was going to do next. And she says, Miss Gazzari's, yeah. And she goes, I'm going to continue with my modeling and my actressing. And she had on, the little lycra dress, and Kelly Bundy was a totally different character before that. She was like biker chick, and during the years that no one saw it, she was like a little biker chick, kind of tough, kind of stuff. Yeah. And I was like, no, we need to represent what this is going on right now in the zeitgeist, like these girls, like these rock slutty girls. And I was like, let's do it. And we went the next day to Melrose to get like a bunch of those little dresses that I had never put something on like that in my life, because I was a hippie. I loved Janis Joplin and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. I was totally not that guy. And lo and behold, that's where the character came from.
How cool that you steered.
So wait a minute, they listened to you when you were a teenager and adapted. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like once they saw the look, we were like, oh, this is what we're doing. Like we're playing one of those girls that we're seeing in these videos with these hairband guys. Like, well, this is who she is.
Yeah.
And I played her as a virgin. I know a lot of people like laugh at that, but for me, Kelly Bundy was a virgin, because I think if I had played her as actually, going out there and being slutty, like there would be an essence of that I don't think people would have kind of loved her. So for me, it was never said. It was just my little secret. I know you're like, yeah, right. But that's how I
played Garth as a virgin.
Yeah. And then you're lovable. Then you're not skanky, and you're not like, edgy, and it makes people uncomfortable. So I think that's what worked.
Well, Mike assisted me, because the second movie, I think his line was, this year, and he always did this, Garth finally got pubes. And I was 38 at the time. I'm like, how am I supposed to play? You guys think I'm 15? There's not enough light.
We don't even know how old you are. We're like,
yeah, no one ever knew. Even Garth didn't know his own age.
That's really funny.
How old are you? I don't know.
Those movies were great, by the way, just FYI.
The first one had a lot of sparkle to it because we had no time and we were just innocent. We were just moving very fast. And the second one's like, okay,
We'll talk about iconic. I mean, the scene in the car, that's like, you can go on repeat with
the
that.
Headbang.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on a Zoom. We were on a Zoom, me and Mike, with Brian May, and talking about that song and stuff. And I think that, syncopation is so potent when you see musical movies. So we're all just like wandering around, and then the song goes off. Nothing really matters. And we're just the whole thing is deflated down. And then bum, 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 bum. When I see it, I go, oh, fuck, no wonder that was a hit.
Yeah.
That feels so good. All heads are going to that beat. What was that musical, LA, from 5 years ago? With Ryan Gosling and
La La Land.
La La Land.
La La Land. When I saw that, I was like, oh, they're on the bench, and it's not even that sophisticated, but their legs are crossing at the same time and they're tapping at the same time. It's very irresistible. Let's, just appreciate it. But
Dana goes, that movie, LA Land.
LA Land.
He never knew his La La Land until just now.
Early onset. That's what she said at my age.
Knock.
No.
It's a joke.
Well,
early onset.
I have a question, but this one, I don't know if I'm allowed
herpes.
to.
Let's just call it onset of herpes.
This trivia of
many designs
of Christina, you don't have to talk about it, but this River Phoenix, who I don't think I ever ran into, but you were there that night at the Viper Club, because I live right by the Viper Club. You were there that night? Well, I never knew that. That's heavy duty. Were you friends with them? And then I'll ask you.
Yep.
God damn, River Phoenix. Yeah. What a stud.
I was more probably involved in what had happened than people know. And I don't want to talk about it out of respect for Rain and Joaquin. And so, but yes, River actually, and this I can talk about, River was one of the reasons I became a vegetarian at 14.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. He was, his family's vegetarian, and he brought me to this really incredible, like fundraiser event that for his family had a great vegan cookbook, and it really, like, he really wanted me to just kind of see the light, and I did, and he was one of the reasons. And
he was early on in that.
Oh, he grew up that way, and but Joaquin, who at the time his name was Leaf, he and River and I, when we were like 10 years old, we took breakdancing classes with Jason Hervey. Jason Hervey?
Who's Jason Hervey?
I don't know. Google it. He was on the show with the 1950s and the talkie narrator and the kid.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
What is the show called? Come on.
Wonder Years?
Thank you. Wonder Years.
There we go. We have a winner.
So
coming through
with the three of us took breakdancing classes with him when we were little. That's how long.
How did you find breakdancing? Because
Yeah.
it's incredibly intense exercise. You can top rock it, or you go to the floor.
It was Jason Hervey teaching it, so it's not like But I could do like
it wasn't
30.
Michael Jackson.
No, I could do like 30 backspins.
What does that mean? On your back where you spin on a piece of cardboard?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Can't do anything like that now for many reasons. I'm old.
I have to say, I know Joaquin a little bit, and that guy could not be cooler. And what a stud. What a great actor. I never met River. Okay, we're going to go back to Pussycat Dolls. Okay. You were part of the early Pussycat Dolls because I used to see them. Was it maybe at the Viper Room? Maybe
it was Viper Room. It was our first performances were at Viper. And Robin Anton, who created it, was my roommate. And so it was actually created in my dance studio, which is now my gym, unfortunately, but it was a dance studio. I always made a dance studio in every house that I moved into because I was a dancer at heart. And I was in the first, all of it for like, I don't know, we did for like 12 years on it, like at the Viper Room. And then it got big and it was at the Roxy. And then we started having singers in it, like Gwen Stefani, Christina Aguilera,
Carmen Electra.
Yeah. All these people would come and do the songs. And then Jimmy Iovine from Interscope was like, you know what? Let's turn this into a band. And then it wasn't a dance group anymore. Then it became a pop band and it was like changed completely. But
it feels like that's something that will come back. Like someone will be like, we're going to let's audition the people for the Pussycat Dolls and remake.
I think Robin has a place in Vegas. Right? Yeah.
Oh, they do?
I always like to say this. Robin does owe me like 3 months rent. And I think
easily,
And I think but she really does. But I'm
like, she does. Okay.
And one time she pulled up in like her Bentley, and I was like, you owe me like at least 3 months rent before you moved out of here. So because then she became like a mogul. Yeah. She's now a mogul.
Mogul.
Yeah.
I'd like to become a mogul.
Yeah, Dana, are you a mogul at all?
I don't know. I mean, I'm investing. I'm doing what I can. I'm making some moves.
Dana's hair looks good. No one can see it today, but he's nailing it.
No one can see it. It's a lot of work. I have only so many soldiers and so much territory. It's like a game of Risk up here. And when I do what I need to do.
Move the troops to the front. Move the troops this way. Hide these.
Yeah.
You could have this.
You got a solid scrunchy something going on.
I know. It's the only thing I can do. My hair's so like gray now. I got to put it up on top of my head.
No.
So how are you feeling like at this moment? I mean, in terms of your energy, is it ebb and flow? Because you were like really on Kimmel last night and you're very sharp right now. I mean, I take naps all the time, but how are you managing your energy? Is it just surprising, or can you do stuff like I'll be on this hour?
That's kind of how it is. It's like I have to prepare mentally that I'm going to have to wake up because I do sleep a lot. And I'm like, okay, let's just do it. And then I do it. And then I'm exhausted. And then I'm kind of busted for a few days after doing things. Yeah. I don't want it to be like that. There's like this little sense of hope in me that I can play tennis again. And, we kind of know I won't be able to, but there's this place in me that I'm like, I belong to a tennis club. I really do. I pay dues at the tennis club and I can't play tennis anymore. But there's this part of me like, no, I'm not going to give up my membership. Because I got to get there. I'm going to get there. And I'm going to hit balls. I don't know if it's going to be on the court.
I mean, I don't know. You're probably steeped in this, but in the sort of disease I had where my LDL cholesterol would be 300 to 400, then only last year they had a bi-yearly shot, which would bring the bad cholesterol, kind of the pace that your body would use to make arterial plaque. Now mine is 39. There's no side effects. It's done a different way than a statin. In other words, the technology and now AI and biomedicine are just married at the hip, and you're young. Right. I mean, there must be a lot of things coming down the pike.
You just never know.
May resolve this.
There's
disease.
Like the regulars that we all do, which are infusions, and they're like pretty hardcore infusions. They attack the B cells in your body, and it's known to now slow progression. So for the last 3 years, I've had no new lesions on my brain and no active lesions. There's still lesions, but like for some, the medicine's working to not progress because this is a disease that you succumb to, if not for these medications. It was the disease that people just died from. That was it. And you still can, but we're hoping that we got these ones that are kind of keeping it from getting worse, but it doesn't get better. That's the thing that I don't think people understand. They're
working on getting it better, but right now they're just slowing it down.
We're just slowing it down. And so that we can live a little bit longer than what people were just dying from it. Like within a year, they would become paraplegics and be done. So there is, at least we have these things, but of course, I don't know. I would love for something they'll be like, we've got it.
Yeah.
But because they don't know how you get it, there's always that question of,
oh, they still don't know.
No, there's a lot of theories on that. And no one's really figured it out because it's all different kinds of people with all different kinds of lifestyles and all different ages now. People are getting in their 20s.
It's not like a health thing. It's not like healthy people get it. Yeah.
No, not. I mean, all the people that I know who have it, we're all very different lives we've lived and ages and no one thing. So that's where it gets confusing for the medical industry and the scientists who are trying to figure it out, I think, because there really is no known reason.
God, it really raises awareness, though, that you're out there.
I wanted to say to you guys, too, because I know that you guys had asked me I think it was last year or something, to come on, and I wasn't ready to speak to anybody about anything. So I want you to know that I was not not wanting to be with you guys.
Big timing us?
What?
You weren't big timing us?
No, I was literally like, I can't speak to people. I'm too upset right now. And so until I got my confidence back to be able to see who I was again, or get back to who I am in my heart.
Understand 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And it just, time is such a magic elixir of trying to put your mind around what happened to you, and what's happening, because it's surreal, right? And I forget about it in my dreams,
Oh.
and then I wake up in the morning and the first foot goes down onto the ground and all the pain starts again. And then I'm reminded again. And then I just want to get back into bed because I don't want to be reminded of it. I mean, that's really my cyclical thing right now, which is probably not the healthiest for my emotional life and my spiritual life and all the lives that you have. But right now, that's the deal. I'm in my dream and I'm doing things. And then I wake up and I'm reminded again of kind of the hell that people with MS live through. And then people will be like, well, why aren't you doing as well as so-and-so? And you're like, oh my God, it's not, it's so different for every single one of us is so different. It depends on where your lesions are. It depends on when you caught it. It depends on so many things. So I really get, even my dad was like, why Selma's on Dancing with the Stars? Why aren't you doing what Selma did? I was like, no.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh, my own
Have
father.
you tried bananas?
Yeah.
Are you eating enough
he's
bananas?
Like, I heard that lion's mane mushrooms can cure it. I said, oh, really? So tell that to the millions of people in America that have it. That we just take a lion's mane mushroom and we're just symptom free. Are you kidding me?
The human brain, if someone gets a disease or something, the human brain goes to why they can't get it.
Yeah.
I eat tomatoes or whatever it is. It's absurd and ridiculous. They just don't want to think that they don't know.
Because it's frightening. It's frightening for people, especially when they ask me, well, how did you get it? And I say, no one knows, man. You could get it tomorrow. I wouldn't say that to someone, but like literally.
You can think it.
I do think it. I'm like, you keep asking me that.
Yeah,
maybe that's the reason.
But you and Selma are both so funny. Selma's great. I've known her over the years. She's so funny. I'm sure she has her ups and downs also, but it's great that I saw her out the other night. She looked great. Anyway,
Jamie, she's kind of an enigma.
No, Selma Blair.
She's an
Selma Blair.
Yeah.
Jamie and I are always like, how is she? How's she doing that? Like, both of us are like,
same thing.
What? How is she out there? Like
tomatoes.
Apparently, it's tomatoes.
Yeah.
Gradient scale of how it, but it just talking to you now. I think doing this podcast with Jamie is, if for better or for worse, somewhat healing or helpful anyway. It's in the helpful column, right? Being able to talk about it with her and talk about it publicly. You've done 10. Are you feeling good that you decided to do this?
Yeah.
This podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if I didn't have Jamie and I didn't have these conversations, honestly, like not on a business level of like of course we want it to do well so that, she and I, who don't really work, like we can live and put food on the table and stuff. But it also has been like, it gives me something to look forward to, that because I spend 99.9% of the day alone. And so it's like, I actually get to talk and then there's an actual conversation, and not like my daughter atting me, like, Mom, go get me my thing, and that's kind of the end of it. No, she and I actually hang out. My daughter and I are pretty good friends, but it's like nice to just feel
it's fun
seen
to think
and
of something in the day and think of something to talk about. And then you do a little pre-thing with her and say, what should we do here? And all that stuff is fun. Dana and I do that. It's kind of fun. It's something that I like to fill a day with. It's nice. And, what you have is, interestingly, you have an unmistakable voice, and I do like voices. And it's just, once you say your voice, I know it's you. And that's great, especially for a podcast. So we wish you well with it, and we appreciate you coming on here. I just like having some laughs with you for a while. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know, and we always like laugh when we're together out in the world.
It's fun.
Always, because we're both really snarky.
Yeah,
humans.
I'm snarky.
I noticed that.
Dana's a little snarky.
I said
too.
to David, I was watching more of your stuff. I said, you guys are kindred spirits.
He did say that. He said that right before. He said,
there's
like
a certain wit. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, you guys.
Our sidebars are pretty fun. Like when David and I have been out places,
sidebars
are like surrounded by people, like at a party, and the two of us find each other and are just like total assholes. It's just, but make each other laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Dan Aykroyd is the first person to say I was snarky, and I never knew what that word meant, and I never heard it. And then I had to ask people. I said, "Is that a mean thing to say?" They said, "No, it's just what you are." And I'm like, "Well, it could be mean. I don't know. I still don't know what
it means. It can be.
But it's funny. I like it.
But
I
like being snarky. I like being like offensive and funny. And I enjoy like surprising people by what comes out of my mouth. It makes me happy because that's what's happening in my brain.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out
from you.
You guys, you two do a spin-off podcast. A lot of people have 3 or 4 called Snark Attack.
Oh, yeah.
That's the title.
Attack. That's got to be trademarked.
You two.
Right?
We have one week called Snark Week.
Oh, yeah. Snark Week.
A whole play on words.
Mm-hmm. And then there's not much to it, but it's a funny play on words.
Yeah. And we just think that we're hilarious.
Yeah. We laugh so fucking hard.
We laugh at all the funnies that come out of our mouths, and no one else is.
All right. Let's let Christina go. And thank you very much, Christina.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for, I don't know. I love you both. I really do.
Thank you for everything.
Huge fan.
We're sending you a lot of love.
Big fan.
Big fan. Bye. This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all this stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.